We got to hear from John Lynch for the first time this offseason, and he had some quotables. He spoke a little bit about the Jimmy Garoppolo situation. He spoke on Trey Lance. He also spoke on the future of some free agent or some guys that are up for contract extensions like Bosa and Debo. What did you make of the comments from Lynch overall, Jose? What were your biggest takeaways, and what did you read into it after hearing him speak?
Yeah, there wasn't too much of a pull on my end, other than the one thing I noticed when the first question that came out about Garoppolo and his surgery, and this is someone asked him, how do you think Garoppolo's situation is and what's going on with the shoulder in terms of a trade and stuff like that? My favorite part of his answer is anytime you have a surgery, it's not a minor deal. Anytime it's the throwing shoulder, I understand the significance, but it's described as a minor surgery, and Jimmy's going to be fine. Like, what? What are you talking about? It's a freaking throwing shoulder. He's not going to be ready until 4th of July or mid-July, whatever range you want to call it. Yeah. So basically, if you're a team, whoever team he's going to be on, he's not going to be ready until training camp. That's nuts.
Right.
So, I mean, he's over here trying to salvage it, but it's even funny, too, because who said else it was minor? Oh, Adam Schefter, when he first reported it, said, like, oh, yeah, that's not expected to have any implications on trade value. Yes, it is. What are you talking about, man? So just the desperation and trying to get him to really try to, damage control, which, this definitely came from Jimmy Garoppolo's camp of how it got leaked. For whatever reason is. Maybe he's trying to get cut. I don't know. We can talk about that later. But it's kind of funny to me that how much he's trying, because John is not so much good at that. He's so much of a genuine person. I don't think he has too much of a lying bone in his body.
Right.
That's why there was someone who ran a thread on Twitter where John Lynch has a tail when he's doing his ear, pulling his ear and stuff like that. Even when his exit presser, when someone asked him, Matt Barrows asked him about a report by Phil Simms about him going back to TV, and this fool was all fidgety. He grabbed his water immediately. He was playing with it. He went down. Kyle was nodding his head. I mean, these guys, like, body language is their biggest tell, is what I've noticed for the last 3 years. And even the fact that he even confirmed, like, yeah, Amazon did talk to me, or whoever talked to him, and I denied him. So I was like, wow. So, there was truth to it. It was true.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's trying to do this, you could just see, like, the way he's just like, he's trying to, like, talk, but he doesn't really know where he's going with it. So I mean, I can't blame him. You got to do what you got to do to do some soft landing of that news. But I mean, the value is what it is, John. You're not going to be able to fix it with words.
Sure. I mean, I think it was a little bit of a different. I mean, I agree with you, but I did read into it a little bit because, when it came to Jimmy, at least for me, Jose, I always felt like John Lynch was more the guy behind Jimmy Garoppolo. And, and Shanahan was kind of like iffy. He's like, okay, we'll use him. But I think Shanahan was always ready to move on much more than John Lynch was. And this is the
one that brought him in. Lynch was the one who got that deal done. And Shanahan, I remember Shanahan's even on the record saying, like, oh, John came to me with this trade. I'm like, wait, what? And he's like, we had the whole day to figure it out. And so I just said, screw it, pull the trigger. So, I mean, John surprised him. It was like a surprise attack. Hey, I got this deal for a quarterback. And he's like, I was waiting for Kirk, but okay.
Yeah, and so, I mean, this was the first time that I thought he kind of spoke about Jimmy like he's not going to come back and that we're moving on from him. And hearing it from him kind of, I think, puts that exclamation mark that, okay, now we could stop talking about whether or not Jimmy's going to get traded. Are they going to bring him back? All that kind of stuff. It really just seems like they're either going to trade him or cut him, which I think is something that we needed to hear. I think we talked about, or I talked about it on this channel. I don't know if it was with you or somebody else, but I'm like, where's John Lynch and Shanahan coming to defend Trey Lance with all of these people basically like talking him down and saying he's not ready and players don't think he's ready, all that kind of stuff. I was waiting for John Lynch or Shanahan to come out and say, look, Trey's our guy. He's doing exactly what we like, all that kind of stuff, which was what Lynch said, right? We got everything we wanted out of Jimmy, but Trey's everything we expected plus more. He talked a little bit about the footage that came out, which was pretty funny. Like, he's like, that wasn't supposed to happen. And yeah, I mean, I think that was more what I talked about. It is finally, okay, the team is acknowledging the passing of the torch as well, versus it being speculation from the fan base.
I mean, they did say it indirectly. They leaked all that news to Peter King, Jay Glazer, and then Mayoko. That's the way the Niners talk. You know, they do smoke signals through media, and I think I said that. Now I'm trying to remember whose channel was it. Whether it was no, it wasn't with you. It was for sure with our boy Ben Meyerson last week, where I said this is how they do it. That's their every NFL team or coach or general manager, whatever owner has their own like personal pocket media guy, where everyone or anytime Mayoko says something, you know, he knows a lot, but he's not like. Well, he's the closest one for sure. Matt Mayoko is the closest one, and then you would say Glazer and Peter King, and Peter King became the one I would really key in on, because I remember in 2019, my first year covering the Niners, is I would see King like up and close and personal with Kyle, getting like personal interviews. It's like, damn, Kyle, give us some love. So, I mean, whatever relationship. So anytime King says something a little bit, he's pretty much being the puppet
mouthpiece.
Yeah, the mouthpiece. So that's what the Niners did when that's when all of a sudden after that Lynch news came and Montana news, when me and you talked about the Montana news about all that slander and if it's true or not. Shortly after that, that's where they came from. It literally was day one. It was like a Wednesday Glazer or Tuesday Glazer, and literally the next day Peter King, and then all of a sudden Matt Mayoko comes out with his own. So boom, that was their Niners in defense, and they're not just gonna hold a press conference, let's talk, because honestly they don't care, but they do care enough to be like, all right, we'll just talk it through the media. That's the way it kind of do it. It's like the whole like hula hoops, the media smoke signals I call it, that the 49ers are doing.
Yeah, the other big takeaway that I took, Jose, is John Lynch pretty much stating that Nick Bosa and Debo aren't going anywhere. And I think that was kind of a breath of fresh air, because we have known the 49ers to be a little bit suspect when it comes to premium talent. Obviously, they traded away DeForest Buckner. When George Kittle was up for his extension, there was, a lot of fidgeting, I guess you could say. I mean, there was talks about trading him. They were going back and forth about the money. But it's good to hear that at least with Bosa and Debo, they're not even going to play around. It looks like it's just going to be about finding the right number that makes sense for both sides and then just signing the dotted line. So I liked hearing that. What did you read anything into that, or was that kind of just you expected it?
No, because I mean, he pretty much said the extra pressure that they budgeted for Debo's extension, and I don't really think Nick Bosa is going to sign an extension, because I think he thinks if I'm him, I'm triple downing on myself, because you would assume you're going to be healthy and you're going to have another great year, if not better, and then boom, now you can eke out more, and that's what his brother did. I think the Chargers even tried to cheap out and try to do something 2 years before his extension or his contract was done. So, I mean, he still has time. I mean, so one more year is going to add more value, and that behooves him. So the more money you can get. But none of this was really shocking to me. And even if he does say that, I'm not going to 100% be sold on it, because, things can change. But I never had a doubt that they weren't going to extend Debo or Nick Bosa this year or next year. I think those are like the automatic locks no matter what.
Got you. And then was there anything else that you heard from Lynch that kind of caught your eye, or anything that you thought was newsworthy or noteworthy?
No, not really, man. I mean, it's kind of hard for me to really take too much from pressers. I say the only thing that, because since I considered about writing it, there was the words about Trey Sermon, but yeah, we already it's kind of obvious what went wrong with Chase Sermon in a way to some people. But I think the thing that I really liked, I think was his most truthful from the heart answer, was his response on the television deal, about how he mentioned, like, it was like one of the first few sentences, like, oh, I'm a competitor. This is why I got in this business. And as much as we talk to my family, it was all good for me to stay here. So the fact that he said that, is like, this guy is all in, and this guy loves football. He knows his playing days is over, obviously. But the fact that he's in the general manager position, I'm sure he still gets the juice. I mean, I wrote in the article about why he chose against going back in the broadcast booth. Is number one, it's always going to be there. It's always going to be there no matter what. Number two, you're in the middle of something great, and I'm pretty sure he got like a nice. Watching all the games that the 49ers were in this year, especially towards the end, the Week 18, the Dallas game, the Packers game, and the Rams game, all that feeling, just like, yeah, we're here. Just being that football player, just like it hypes you up, and like being a former athlete, I can understand where he's coming from in that sense. And I mean, just look how much he gets into it. Remember the Super Bowl when he's trying to call timeout at the final 2 minutes? He's into these games. He feels like he's out there, and he wants to, that's why he's in this. So, and it's not like he's pressed for money, and you kind of figure it out that he's all in. He loves competing, and this is what he's about. So that's good to have. You know, so at least I'd say John Lynch is not going anywhere for at least like the next couple years.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that this 2-year stretch, at least this offseason, they're going in with the least amount of question marks. You know what I mean? And I think that now being 6 years into this regime, I guess. What are we, 5 years or 6 years in? This is the sixth offseason, I believe, right?
Yeah.
2017. So their sixth offseason, we're starting to finally see this team be put together the way that they wanted to get it put together, right? They've gotten studs at so many different core positions. They finally have their quarterback of the future that's that's there and ready to start. They were one game away again from a Super Bowl, and they don't have to blow anything up, and they could still get a lot better this offseason. And I think he wants to finish the job, Jesse. You know what I mean? Like, he leaves now, they go out and win in the next couple of years, the Super Bowl. He's gonna probably be kicking himself and being like, man, you know, that was the team that I built, and I didn't get the ring, you know.
And he's gonna look like a genius with if they do that, because Trey Lance is gonna be the one that leads it, and he's gonna have his fingerprints over Lance. So that's gonna even make him look even more of a god.
And I actually like it. I mean, I know Adam Peters is there that a lot of people are excited about going in and, you know, taking over for Lynch. But it would be nice to finally see a Super Bowl with Lynch and Shanahan as the duo. Just because, you know, even from us, man, we've been so hard on them, up and down, right? To actually see them kind of get vindication from critics like us, or even people outside, you know, that have just been bashing them for their decision making. And how much do you think it played a role that the Rams got a ring? Like, you know, maybe if maybe the Rams didn't win, maybe he was like, maybe he'd think, because it's a lot of money, right? I think they were discussing $100 million for Sean Payne. So I'm assuming he probably got, you know, similar type money. I wonder if, like, oh, the Rams got a ring. I can't go out like that, even for, you know, way more money, right?